Hey everybody, I've been too busy to pay much attention to Barry Joe Stull's letters. In let's see, January 2020, he reached out to me and said that if he was going to die, like get run over by a truck, who would he call first? He would call me. And from that point, he had already had a relationship where we talked a lot about his legal docs because he's a jailhouse lawyer, so to speak. He's a successful pro se litigator. And he had transferred files to me before. I had uploaded them to my Scribd free social media doc service account to share them. And I had studied them. So from that point, we embarked on a process of him sending me docs, calling me from time to time. Occasionally, I would video blog his calls to make a record of his exceptional mind and his role as a mentor jailhouse lawyer. So he has been detained for quite some time and has my P.O. box and mails me occasionally. And it was so nice to find his letters in the box. It looks like one I've opened and one I haven't. And I wanted to start with the one I haven't because the one I opened, I don't think I had time to read it all. I can't quite recall. So I have taken a bunch of notes on. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to turn on the light. That's not cool. Oh well. Okay, hold on a sec. Okay. So I want to really. Okay. So. Okay, so this is Barry Joe Stull, prisoner number 86112 MCIJ 11540 Northeast Inverness Drive. And hey, Barry Joe, if you ever hear this, your E looks like a G, so work on your penmanship. Portland, Oregon 97220. And then he put on the outside freedom or death. I've got a bunch of notes for my county speech yesterday for the county meeting on Zoom. But he says, watch Hemp for Victory 1942 USDA film. Oh, film recommendation. So definitely, y'all go watch Hemp for Victory 1942, a USDA film. I took it to the 1987 National Normal Convention where Jack Herrera said, this is going to pay to make pot legal before he sold over 250,000 of copies. And then he says 100% dead trees to the recyclable notice and tree killer certified to the little emblem. And he said, Boo loves you. Boo is his nickname. That's what his family calls him. And I think his main email is Cannabis Boo. Let's see. Oh, I'm just kind of bored. I've been working on the shenanigans in Clatsop County. Wayne Borg just resigned. I'm like trying to talk him back. I was so looking forward to like him being my new mentor. But oh well. And I just talked to James Von Berkman, who used to be Ozark Iraq's lawyer. He was like, I probably shouldn't say this. He was like, that guy. I've always cut himself off. Okay, so what do we have? Gosh, okay. This is a separate, oh no, there's quite a few segments to this letter. Barry Joe Stull, there's his address, Trial Court Administrator, Multnomah County Circuit Court. Oh no, he's going to try to have me file this or something. June 21, 2023, recase. Dear Trial Court Administrator, please schedule a hearing for my January 2020 motion for an appealable order in the state of Oregon versus Barry Joe Stull, case number 9002-31186. Thank you, Barry Joe Stull. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, Trial Court Administrator, June 21, 2023. Dear Court Clerk, please deliver the enclosed courtesy copies of my June 21, 23 letter to the Oregon State Bar Association to the Judge Honorable Cheryl Albrecht. And she a sweetheart. She called me Mr. Eng because Mary Rose looks like Mr. Or maybe it was my boss Butch energy. And Judge Honorable Angela Franco Lucero. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Sincerely, Barry Stull. Do you say Barry Joe Stull? I don't know. Barry Joe Stull. Stull. Let's put the back in it. Oh God. I hate to say Barry's too smart for me, but that's probably true. He's never been yes. Okay. To the Oregon Law Center. Oh yeah, I was supposed to call them today. Hey, shout out Oregon Law Center. Answer your phones. Get some more staff. Dear Oregon Law Center, the Social Security Office on Southeast Division Street has yet to act on my timely 2017 appeal of the denial of benefits awarded to me by national, yet denied by local. When I checked at that office, the counter worker came back and her body language spoke volumes when she said, it's just sitting there on the desk of the worker whose decision I appealed. I confirmed my appeal was both timely and in the record of my case. It's about $19,000 of my award after a fully favorable decision after my hearing before an administrative law judge. The local denial can't be upheld. Please help me get my appeal moving. Very docile. Oh my goodness. I have a cup of coffee to drink. I like it when it's hot. I don't want to burn. I've already burned my tongue today. Let's have some coffee. Cheers. This is Veranda Blend from Starbucks from the food bank. I kind of laid off coffee because I paid so much money getting all my broken teeth fixed that it's really kind of a shame to make them really yellow really fast. Okay, anyway. Oregon State Bar Association. Ooh, juicy. Okay. June 21, 2023. Ethics violation of Eric W. Pickard. Dear Oregon State Bar Association, Deputy Multnomah County District Attorney Eric W. Pickard, number 154015, committed fraud on the court when he said to the Honorable Judge Cheryl Albrecht, I caused injuries on February 22, 2021, which resulted in the individual's concussion. April 2023. The only person evidence shows he had a concussion February 22, 2021 was me. I was the victim of a felony hit and run. Mr. Pickard is dishonest and must be sanctioned for his unprofessional act. Sincerely, Barry Joe Stull, CC Multnomah County District Attorney Mike Schmidt. Hello. Okay, so yeah, Barry was almost killed when a car ran over him. It was hard not to think it might have been an assassination attempt, but that might be a little paranoid. Even though the FBI is monitoring him closely, according to my Astoria contact, who is a friend of a former FBI employee, a retired FBI. Barry Joe Stull. Oh dear. Letter to me last. Yikes. I'm scared because I don't know what's in it. Oh, this is really fresh. Okay, Dear Mary. According to the 60,000 dictionary entries version of Merriam-Webster's dictionary and thesaurus, wheel is named for the word weal, and that's W-E-A-L, which means either a sound, healthy, or prosperous state, good interest, welfare, or well-being, or the other version, welt, W-E-L-T. You will see that, as in George Orwell's 1942 novel, 1984, the word weal, meaning a sound, healthy, or prosperous state, has been memory holed. It no longer exists. I exercise self-discipline when I get out of my cell here at the Multnomah County Detention Center, where all mail to me is via... What? Wait a minute. He's in Portland? I'm so confused. Okay, hold up. I exercise self-discipline because I thought he was in Salem. He's been transferred. Okay, I exercise self-discipline, and I think I just wrote him. I don't even know if I put the address right because I just wrote him yesterday and I just copied whatever I saw. I don't like the unconscious mind because doing unconscious things when you don't know what you were doing. Oh well, so I'm now released. I exercise self-discipline when I get out of my cell here at the Multnomah County Detention Center, where all mail to me is via Multnomah County Inverness Jail, and talk myself into walking up the 7 steps to the landing, then 7 more to the top deck where I reside. First single steps, then after 5 times, starting with either my right or left leg, I count with the fingers of that hand, the second set taking the top 1/2 2 steps, 2 steps, 3 steps, then the last set of 5 trips starting with first, then the other leg up, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes of the hour I get out of for what's called walk. It breaks the sweat and gives me endorphins. I read and try to mix up nonfiction and fiction. I had a chance to read some classics, The Great Gatsby, For Whom the Bell Tolls, along with some stuff like the book on cannibal crew of the whale ship Essex out of Nantucket, who opted to avoid sailing their salvaged whaleboats turned sailboats to the west because of the fear of being eaten by the cannibals they feared based on misinformation. I'm stuck here in MCDC, Multnomah County Detention Center. Although May 24, 2023, Judge Honorable Angela Franco Lucero wrote I could be returned to OSCI, that's Oregon State Correctional Institute, while awaiting a court-appointed lawyer for sentencing, facing a mandatory minimum due to ballot measure 57 because I broke 2 Portland Police Bureau cars from the inside in 2012, etc., that calls for an additional 26 months after I serve my Kafuri court set. Acting as my own scrivener, a word not among the 60,000. I like that word. I made you copies of the mail I sent out in my best defense is an offense attack on Eric W. Pickard, who told Judge Lucero he plans on asking for 5 years in prison. My expert witness, Dr. Patricia Warford, did a no-call, no-show after being subpoenaed, so I'll be seeking a new trial. Then there's the issue of Deputy DA Pickard telling the jury it was insulting I used the defense Judge Lucero qualified and sent to the jury. Turns out the jury foreperson remembered me from the City Hall communications, his having been a City Hall employee. I got my first visit from Cy, pronounced Cy, and Neil yesterday, and it seems there's a plan to go to the trailer home Join keeps paying my rent illegally for, which I hope to scandalize after getting Wheel rolling. So keep that under your hat. Wheel is his nonprofit or website idea he has. And do some cleanup. I'm writing this with a flex pen, which is a clear plastic tube around the ink tube. So you can see I've already developed a callus on the tip of my index finger and can write far better than prior. You can see from the quality of this tablet that Amazon Basics tablets are a sub-premium product. The food here is institutional. A lot of freeze-dried potatoes, overcooked frozen vegetables, and meat patties so tender I can cut them with a spork. I do okay, and the sex offender awaiting to plead guilty to get a 14-year plus sentence instead of risking 25 or 30 years after a trial, who serves my meals and cleans the common area, treats me well and makes sure I get the chicory coffee or extra fortified fruit drink called juice that others either pass on or don't get first dibs. I pace myself so I have stuff as a snack. I know how to do time, but hope to have enough going via Wheel to get Tina Kotek's bunch to cut a clemency deal. You heard that, Governor? The 9002-31186 case is on my 1993 motion for a return of things seized from my 1989 pot bust PPB Cheryl Arnold led. Peace, our most important product. Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm relieved. He just copied these for my enjoyment, so I know what he's up to and I understand his product. And I'm so happy to share with you Barry Joe Stull's Jailhouse Lawyering. I do not. I do not support violence of any kind. I'm a Jane. Okay, his mental outbursts, if they have involved violence or even property destruction, I'm not so keen on. I don't. My care and concern for him transcends whether or not he is engaged in bad behavior. As a caveat or as a disclaimer, I offer that to you. Okay, now let's see. Did I look at this one? This one was May 25, 2023. I think this was the most recent one prior. I probably have 3 more somewhere in a big jumble. Okay. Okay, maybe I didn't read, barely looked at this. Okay. May 25, 2023, MCDC SV13. What we have here is a failure to communicate. Prison official, Cool Hand Luke. My mom made me see that. It was a pretty weird movie. Cool Hand Luke was the movie at Knock Junior Senior High School one year as the reward for our successful magazine campaign. I helped out, then managed as I grew older. I missed it, being homesick that day, but I did get to see actor Paul Newman do a double take from his race car when he saw the sign that said, "Do you want to free marijuana users from unjust laws?" 20 years after Knock, I was in the intro to the 1996 Great Book of Hemp for my Library of Congress research, and Stull versus Hoke was on its way to be a Supreme Court case after I started it in prison for pot. Pot's legal. Since I had his number, Mark Ruibal, that's Ruibal, took my call from MCDC, then put money on my books so I could buy this tablet and envelopes. Wow. It should have been a donation to Wheel, the nonprofit I can't get help starting. Please help. Love, Boo. Okay. And then this I don't have to read out. This is basically kind of like an address book of his top people. And he's got Miss Abrams, Mr. Haley, Mr. Seigel. Maybe it's Joey Bear. Maybe that's his other Barry Stull, Joey Bear. Oh, I get it. That's probably, I think, could be a family member. I don't quite know. Mr. Stull, a different Stull, Bonnie Yo. Oh, and that's his, I think that's his sister-in-law. Is that right? Or no, aunt or something. I forget. I know her. Okay, so that was Barry Joe Stull. Should I go look for another one? I bet I could find one. I'll come back. Who knows if I'll find one. And wow, this is kind of a little high potency. I did feel something emanating from this envelope, which is probably why it made such a good tablet for my notes, which involve, let's see, inclusivity, disability, race, gender, orientation, anti-victim prejudice, ADA, allow abuse or speak out or face retaliation, predicament, discrimination, Astoria Warming Center, discrimination, lifeboat, discrimination, the harbor, sexual harassment regarding sucking on Ozark Iraq's blue balls? Why would he do that to the homeless women? Threatened to knife Mary Ang? Death threats? Why me? My report to the Bureau of Labor and Industries. Barry has explained this to me long before it really dawned on me that Bully investigates ADA violations or disability rights violations. Basic Rights Oregon, divisive loved one, fentanyl being smoked at the Astoria Warming Center. Sam McDaniels told me that. Drug dealers, sexual assault survivors are kicked out. That's not how it's supposed to work, guys. Enabling a felon with a firearm offense to have contact with abuse victims, abusing me and the Harbor Advocate on the phone. Record the abuse now. Facing charges. Good vegan food. And KPTV's email, kptv-fox12 investigators at gray.tv. Hold on a second, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with a computer charger, guys, because it looks like we might need a little juice. Oh, and a stack of Barry Joe Stull letters. So I don't know if I'll be able to get through these because just as a synopsis of one of the discoveries, Barry Joe Stull recently got an autism spectrum diagnosis, and I'm so happy for him, and I'm also not surprised. He is an exceptional genius, and he has moments that could qualify as an autism meltdown. And I particularly enjoy autism spectrum type people, and maybe one of them myself. I tend to think I am, as well as my father and my siblings. Okay, so that in a way to get a late in your life, in your 60s, getting an autism diagnosis. Hey, that's pretty cool, right? So, boy, okay, freedom or death, where's the letter there? This feels empty. Oh dang. Now this is from his friend. Okay, let's see. Now that's just irritating me because I'm gonna have to dig through a pile of bills, no doubt. Is there anything in there? Oh, there's something. Hi. Okay, where do I begin? Okay, the really thick one. There's two really thick ones, and that's from his friend. Let's look at the skinny ones. Let's see what's up. Okay, January 29, 2023. This is Barry Joe Stull from Deer Park Drive in Salem, Oregon. Dear Mary Rose Lenore Ang, Shannon Mortimer wants to quit again. Oh yeah, this is his old lawyer. I just spoke to him on the phone. And I have a hearing. Oh, I have bifocals in the mail. I have a hearing by remote this coming week. Shannon did send me a raft of paper, including transcripts from my 1990 case with Portland Police Bureau Cheryl Arnold and 2004 case with Jason Sari. Jason Sari, whom I almost met in Beaverton Ron Wyden event, got him on my YouTube, killed James Jahar Perez, I think he was an unarmed motorist pulled over on a turn signal violation. Was he unarmed? I don't know. I forget. I have like early Alzheimer's, guys, but look up Jason Sari. His last name Sery. I believe he moved to Beaverton Police or Hillsborough Police, probably working with my cousins, the Kangas brothers. Cop scandals aside, she calls my neighborhood a crack alley. I'm sorry. And mentions the Oregon Marijuana Initiative a bunch of times. In the 2004 transcript, Dr. Grimm, who gave him his central pain syndrome diagnosis. Sorry, my podium is crooked, guys. Here. Testifies that cannabis is my best treatment option, and the judge asks him to repeat fentanyl since that was new in 2004. Not anymore. Contact Shannon for the transcripts by email so you can put them on the web for my benefit. See, Barry is so pro information. He's down. He's like really cool for it. The more, the better. And I like that about him because that's how I feel. He likes information out there. He's been incredibly generous with his information. So much so that I'm snowed in with paper. The way he papers the judge, he papers me. And he's like, here, just read this 1,000 page transcript. And I'm like, God love the poor prosecutors who keep trying to do him in. Now this looks a mess, and there's apparently nothing in this, which, why is it water damaged? Freedom or death? Mary, I survived fire sprinkle flood of cell MH110 on September 27, 2022, 4:50 a.m. Okay, freedom or death? I always feel like it should be freedom and death because we are all going to die. And let's be free before we're dying. I don't know. This is, okay, so that's the 30 January one. Some of these have stamps, maybe because it's Portland versus Salem doesn't seem to have a pattern of stamping. Salem, what's up with that? All right. Oh, boy. Okay, the city of, okay, here's his little, he always has like a little addendum on the back of the envelope. The city of Portland was incorporated in the Oregon Territory, 1853, before the first ever use of wood pulp from trees to make paper, Germany. Oregon was granted statehood February 14th, 1859, prior to the first oil well ever drilled August 1859, Pennsylvania. For crying out loud, grow hemp for paper. 100% dead trees. Boo loves you. Tree killer certified. Contrarian, even to the very paper with which he... Okay. Oh, boy. Oh, this is a letter to the ACLU. This is a photocopy. And look at how he has very good, clean penmanship. That's a very good tip for a pro bono, like, or a pro se litigant. Page 4, he's a Libra. They're good at being organized and elegant. So anyway. Kelly Simon, attorney, ACLU, Oregon, Portland, Oregon. P.O. Box 4585, Portland, Oregon, 97240. April 4, 2023. Dear Kelly Simon, yesterday, April 3, 2023, I received a letter from the Oregon Justice Resource Center reporting their attorneys had decided not to represent me, including that I had said during the telephone interview my issues have been resolved. When I saw the name Juan Chavez, I knew before I opened it, Oregon Justice Resource Center would not represent me, but I did not anticipate Oregon Justice Resource Center stating when contacted, I reported my issues were resolved. I had a telephone call from Claudia, which ended with my talking her through the steps of using Google Scholar, which Claudia was familiar with, to access case law, a feature Claudia was not familiar with. As I talked her through steps, unbeknownst to me, Claudia was typing them in, and I learned that when she said something in regard to the over 200 cases citing my very own Stull versus Hoke, 326 Oregon 72. Maybe 748 P2D 722 1997, which I filed my last stint in prison from Columbia River Correctional Institution in Multnomah County Circuit Court case 9002-31186. In 9002-31186, I was convicted of manufacture and possession of marijuana, but the jury found me not guilty of the charges of delivery of a controlled substance. In July 2022, I arrived on 19 CR 21313 to the Oregon State Penitentiary, where, of course, the next building over is a dispensary selling cannabis. My current sentence of 18 months prison for burglary is from my April 1, 2019 entry by sledgehammer into Kafuri Court Apartment 5, where nonprofit affordable housing landlord PCRI removed and destroyed over 20,000 of my personal goods in both March, then October 2006, as I appealed a so-called 30-day no-cause eviction filed under 2003 ORS, Oregon Revised Statute 90.4272, when 2003 ORS 105.120 prohibited the landlord from filing the action, as PCRI did in August 2005 when my rent was paid. Since Stull v. Hoke defines the act of filing a case, there is no mystery that what PCRI did was against the law. However, okay, so just side note, I remember Barry explaining to me why Stull v. Hoke is cited so much and so pivotal is he hand-filed a case in hand-filed penmanship from his jail cell, and I believe he was suing the district attorney or something like that. They contested his filing, contested his service process on technicalities, and Stull v. Hoke became a precedent-setting case about how jailhouse lawyers do business, including not having access to word processing, etc., computers. Barry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have some recollection of that. Okay, so since Stull v. Hoke defines the act of filing a case, there is no mystery what PCRI did was against the law. However, Leah Sykes, PCRI's attorneys, and then Nicholas Dazer, D-A-Z-E-R, and Leah Sykes is S-Y-K-E-S, went to Lewis and Clark College Law School, the same place went to Lewis and Clark College Law School, the same place Multnomah County Judge Ed Jones did. The fix was in. July 13, 2007, after presiding Judge Koch, K-O-C-H, initiated case 0704-04569. Did I get that right? I prosecuted an event for contempt of court, where I was prosecuted for an event for contempt of court, where at no small effort on my part, Portland police officers Dale and Eugenio testified having viewed my goods outside 4066 Northeast Grand number 5, which appeared ransacked at the time PCRI claimed my apartment had been emptied of its contents prior to the Oregon Court of Appeals order. I had been locked out in violation of a stay pending appeal, and since my property was still there, let me back in, said that court. This page intentionally left blank. It was by accident, but such things appear in various public documents, so what the hell? That day, July 13th, 2007, the Multnomah County Sheriff personnel testified they entered the apartment which PCRI claimed was empty to fetch my long-dead medical marijuana plants. Judge Jones responded audibly, "It wasn't empty," when the PBB, Portland Police Bureau witness, said my goods were still visible inside the ransacked apartment. March 2006. January 2008, Judge Jones wrote the parties agreed to allow him to decide the damages, although both PCRI and myself requested a jury trial, and the damages were the $4,775 in musical instruments and the tools PCRI removed and destroyed from apartment number 5 in October 2006. July 2007, Multnomah County Sheriff's Civil Unit Deputy Hughes testified I told him PCRI was going to destroy my goods again, which PCRI then did. Judge Jones then ruled that PCRI, having Gales Creek Insurance issue me a check for $4,775 in spring of 2010, made me whole. Otherwise, damages under the Landlord-Tenant Act would have been many times the over $20,000 of goods I documented. No telling what a jury might have been awarded for my priceless research for the book PCRI knew I was writing, plus the destruction of my Oregon medical marijuana program, Cannabis, authorized by my neurologist, Dr. Robert J. Grimm, MD, whose expertise was the subject of the Oregon Court of Appeals, then Oregon Supreme Court opinions in Jennings v. Baxter Healthcare. Dr. Grimm's September 28, 2006 chart has been incorporated as an exhibit in my pending and active federal case, Barry Joe Stull versus Fleming Green, U.S. District Court Case 3:22-20 CU-01505-HZ, which folks such as OJRC, Oregon Justice Research Center's Claudia may access via PACER, public access to court electronic records with a free account from pacer.gov. My appeal of case 19 CR 21313 is being handled by Oregon Office of Public Defense, and OPDS has assigned the direct appeal to Kyle Crone, KROHN, and the appeal of my May 31, 2022 probation revocation to Mr. Brett Allen, who won the 2019 appeal in State v. Stull. That's in which the 1,000-page transcript of a conviction was overthrown and defeated, which was a huge victory for Barry. And then supposedly where he stood was the Multnomah DA wanted to re-prosecute him for a 2016 arrest at City Council, in which some people claimed he was having a mental breakdown, but he was, or you could say he was having an autistic meltdown. He was talking about his traumatic eviction when he was prior to being signed up, and then he was ganged up on, bullied and surrounded by huge security, and yada yada. Okay, so here we go back to State. Okay, so Mr. Brett Allen, who won the 2019 appeal in State v. Stull. I hate this. I'm going to admit this because I think it. I don't support Barry when he says I punched a cop. I do not support that. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm a vegan, pacifist, nonviolent type person. He's got to live with himself, right? Okay. The trove of exhibits in Stull versus Green et al. Includes PCRI's 2006 affidavit filed in the Oregon Court of Appeals, where on a single page, PCRI property manager Mary Lucero swears 4066 Northeast Grand Avenue, apartment 5 was empty days before the Multnomah County Sheriff entered to take my plants. In June, plants in quotation mark, in June 2008, I filed a timely applicant's opening brief, which the Oregon Court of Appeals rejected because in the years I fought everything PCRI staff and lawyers could throw at me, the font size was changed from 12 font to 13 font, and due to the litany of wrongs I was able to plead, I was over the page count. Plus, I did not include a detail on the cover of the brief. So he filed the appellant's opening brief. The Oregon Court of Appeals rejected it because the font size changed, which increased the page count. Plus, he did not include the detail on a detail on the cover of the brief. My appeal was dismissed for want of prosecution. Dozens of court events. In 2013, the city of Portland gave PCRI $8 million due to PCRI's financial difficulties. In January 2022, PCRI's senior property manager, Kimberly Jackson, testified PCRI was keeping the 5 apartments of Kafuri Court vacant and did for 8 years because they were for development. She was Kimberly Mason as the notary public for the affidavit about the miracle of marijuana plants appearing in an empty apartment for MCSO removal in 2006. In 2015, I testified in City Council that PCRI was organized crime and told Portland Police Chief O'Day, "Go get him, Tiger." Got his business card, then emailed him that same January 2015 day. And just side note, O'Day had to resign after he shot his buddy accidentally, supposedly on a hunting trip in which they were all drunk driving out in the desert of Eastern Oregon. And Chief O'Day said about the neo-Nazi on the police force, he had utility. The white supremacist had a utility. And that was speaking of Mark Kruger, who we had relentless campaigns against his failure to background check appropriately and keep him away from the public and keep him from endangering the public. And I have a picture of me with Chief O'Day at the first day of possibly some protest. In November 2015, Multnomah County Chair Deborah Kofuri presented PCR. And O'Day was so funny. He's a big, 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 giant, huge, huge, broad-chested man. And he very hesitantly put his hand around my shoulder as if we were on a prom date or something. And I could feel his hesitation as to whether or not it was a harassment or it would look awkward or be compromising. And I believe there were two shots, one with his hand and one without, from whoever took the shot. But it was cool. It was back when I had short hair and I was wearing an Obama Hope t-shirt under my trench. I think it was, maybe it was a Ferguson protest. I think that's what it was. In November of 2015, Multnomah County Chair Deborah Kafori presented PCRI an award for assisting 6 veterans of finding housing, while Kafori Court, named for her mother, Gretchen Kafuri, sat vacant for years and years after. In 2006, Greg Kafuri agreed to represent me. After PCRI's March 2006 event of emptying my goods from 4066 Northeast Grand Avenue, Apartment 5, then wrote me in May 2006. I had asked them to consider it for various reasons. They declined. When I went there, I used the phone the day Greg Kafuri said he'd represent me and asked the gal who witnessed that call and inquired, what about that? Other than an attorney agreed to represent me was fixed in her memory. She pondered, then said, there was something funny about the name. In 2015, after my showdown in Portland City Hall Council chambers, and while who Keith Davis filmed, by the way, and then Mike Bluehair published. And while my successful appeal of the charges was pending, an entertainer who was performing the same KBOO radio benefit I was said he knew an attorney who told him if anyone wanted to sue the Portland police, he wanted to take the case, and then gave me the name Juan Chavez. After Juan Chavez agreed to represent me in Barry Joe Stull versus Jacob Butler, that's Buetler, and that's Jacob with a K, I wrote to federal judge Yuli Yim Yu, that's Youlee Yimuyou. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that name. I don't know if I have that wrong. That Juan Chavez would not take nor answer my telephone calls. Then one day he did. He could not explain his reversal nor timely response, saying he had changed his mind. I never got. In summer 2020, federal judge Michael Simon, we love you, Michael. So Michael and his lovely wife, what's her name? Got hit by a car downtown, and I hope they're okay. And I hope it was a minor injury when they were crossing the road. She's this lovely, she's the good friend. She's Amici, Suzanne Bonamici, good friend in Italian. Suzanne Bonamici. She's lovely, and so is Judge Michael Simon. Okay, so in summer 2020, federal judge Michael Simon took my telephone call from the Unity Behavioral Hospital, where records state the false claim used by Oregon State Penitentiary Dr. Vitali, September 2022. That's Vitali. I was naked and running down the street, throwing rocks at cars. Okay. Whoa, this is intense. Okay, those are going down there. This is my pile of unread. I'm going to check my phone. I'll be right back. Oh, nafshi. Okay. Judge Michael Simon recommended I contact the ACLU. I told him my prior experience didn't go so well. He said, but they've got some new good people working for them now. He knew me from my testimony in the hearings on USA versus City of Portland. And when he interrogated me during my testimony, February 28th, 2020, I was troubled by knowing so much that so many others aren't allowed to know. Judge Simon was kind and professional and ended my call from unity. When this is over, we'll have tea. It's not over. This isn't the end, or near the end, or even near the end of the beginning. Oregon Revised Statute 6598.142 accepts the Oregon Department of Corrections as a public accommodation, but Oregon Revised Statute 6598.142 covers Oregon Department of Corrections as state government. The civil rights abuses, including violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which states can be sued in federal court for, need to be addressed. Let me know how I can help. Sincerely, Barry Joe Stolbu. Page 10. Okay, so I was borrowing the melody from the Madi Steinmetz Yishai, is it Rabin? So Shea Raviv, my Israeli friend in Los Angeles, his real name is Yishai Rabinovitz. I met him in Beverly Hills. He's such a cutie. His eyes sparkle like diamonds. He has a Violet Vision. So the dude that he started Violet Vision with and him had some kind of falling out. I saw that they're like internet squabbling and they felt like Shay took over Violet Vision and maybe like shut that one out. The Wheels Will Turn song was in my head. It's like da 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 do 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 do. It's from a band called Cuts, and then Violet Vision remixes stuff. And one day I said to Shay, I was like, I love the Cut song, and he was like, what song? Because I think he's so busy and he like does so much work. I don't even know if he knew which thing it was. Okay, here we go. Back to, I guess this is my final BJS letter I could stir up out of the mess. My heart is hurting, and I don't know if it's the melody or too much coffee or lack of food. Yeah, lack of food, probably. Dang. Okay, we got a little note card. I mean, just look at his good penmanship. You gotta love that about Barry Joe Still. Okay. You're gonna love my new glasses, by the way. I can't wait. Dear Mary Ang, December 21, 2022, 6 a.m., Oregon State Correctional Institution. It took me 4 months to get your address straight. I got 3 weeks of canteen orders Monday, December 19th, 2022, because of institutional delays. Prison is very, very difficult bureaucracy to negotiate, and it would be nice if I had a support network. My attorney on my pending 5 Multnomah County trials, Shannon Mortimer, has been carrying too much of the load. I know how to do prison time. I did 17 and a half months on 9002-31186, a case that's transcript should have been posted on the internet long ago. Matt, I don't know if that's an instruction to me. I better look that up. Multnomah County District Attorney is pissed at me for good reason. And I am facing an additional 4 years with the pending cases. My friend Cy, S-I-G-H, is my attorney. In fact, not an attorney, but me, through my power of attorney, is my attorney in fact, not an attorney, but me through a power of attorney. I get it. And I can't get access to my checking account funds due to her personal problems you each seem to have and which you each seem to keep to yourselves. He's chewing out his friends. I'm trying to effect WEAL, W-E-A-L, as an Oregon 501c3 nonprofit corporation, and so far I can't seem to get folk to lick a second envelope and send it to me. 2018, Bill Russell of Union Gospel Mission drove by the vacant 4066 Northeast Grand Avenue, number 5 apartment, Kavuri Court, PCRI, had kept vacant for 8 years and said to me it was being kept vacant by Big Pharma. It's true. There has been a total media blackout of that vacant affordable housing kept vacant for development, as Kimberly Jackson testified in 19 CR 21313 during my trial earlier this year. The transcript has been prepared for my appeal. Oh, and Bone can pay for the court audios so it can all be put on the internet. Please ensure Dan Haley gets a copy of Dr. Grimm's September 28, 2006 transcript. Shannon has his phone number. Oregon Department of Correction mail rules are DAR Chapter 291. Send some. Barry Joe Still, aka Boo. He gets mad if you call him just Barry. So if you go by first name basis, if you don't call him Mr. Stull, call him Barry Joe or Barry Joe Stull. 7941656, prisoner number OSCI 3401, Deer Park Drive, SG, Salem, Oregon 97310. Okay, and there's, I think that's his family member Bonnie's number and his friend's number and address. Okay, so here's his affidavit. State of Oregon, County of Multnomah. I, Mary Lucero, being first duly sworn, depose and say I am employed as a property manager for the plaintiff respondent PCRI on the Oregon Court of Appeals case A130567. Defendant appellant Barry Stull resides at our property at 4066 Northeast Grand, number 5, Portland, Oregon 97218, pursuant to a stay of execution issued by the Oregon Court of Appeals. Prior to that time, Mr. Stull had lost in trial court and was given the option to come and pick up his belongings by PCRI. On January 5, 2006, Mr. Stull came with a moving van and picked up some of his items. On January 19, 2006, Mr. Stull's stay was dismissed along with the appeal, and trial court gave him until February 2, 2006 to remove his belongings. He did not have everything out by then, but just in case, PCRI held on to belongings in the unit at our expense for another month. After Mr. Stull didn't return for a month, PCRI contracted with Universal Landscaping clients to clean the unit and dispose of his items. We hired Universal Landscaping March 6, 2006. Universal tells us their work took over 7 hours in the course of 2 days, March 6th and March 7th, 2006, to return the items. On March 9th, 2006, the sheriff's office came in and confiscated Mr. Stull's plants. We didn't know that any stay had been ordered until we got the paperwork from the Court of Appeals. 4 days later, on March 17th, 2006. I get it. So they weren't supposed to kick him out. There was a stay of the eviction. And they didn't find out till they'd already thrown away his stuff. Subscribed and sworn to me 28th day of June 2006. Mary Lucero. March 7, apartment empty. March 9, sheriff's office confiscates plants from empty apartment. Marijuana is a miracle. This is very distal. He's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay. PCRI versus Barry Joe Stull. Attached is the supplemental affidavit. So this is a legal document signed by Mason and Associates. And this is testimony of Dr. Graham about central pain syndrome, which is the justification. And here's another thing. I do notice, since Barry Joe Stull is off marijuana in jail, I noticed in his more recent brand new letters a crystal clear clarity of his sublime intellect that is fascinating to me. And while I cherish his activism for cannabis, I personally prefer the mental clarity that comes with sobriety. So I'm not going to read Dr. Grimm's testimony, and I'm not going to read Dan's letter. I'm going to get going, but I hope y'all enjoyed the Barry Joe Stullathon.